medical industry in America is broken. I believe that it has been consumed with greed. I think there's also been some really amazing things that they have done or attempted to do.
What's up, truth seekers? You're listening to Damaged to Dangerous, where I bring my passion for pulling back the veil on a, quote, pill for every pain, calling out what's broken in the medical industry, and exposing the lies about our food system. Let's walk into real healing to help those misdiagnosed, over-medicated, and spiritually stuck get their lives back, body, mind, and spirit. Food is medicine. You're not broken. You've just been lied to. It's time to wake up, get free, and become dangerously whole. So let's go. Welcome to another episode of Damaged to Dangerous, overcoming what tried to take you out. So you're not damaged. You're actually dangerous to the lies that we've been fed. And today I've got with me Ashlea Hogancamp. And
right.
I'm so grateful to know her. She has a restaurant. I'll let her tell you about it, but we're talking crunchy. We're talking crunchy. And serves food in the restaurant that it was designed the way God created it. So, Ashlea, thank you so much. Welcome, welcome. I love you. I love your restaurant. I love everybody that goes in there. I'm a junkie and regular. So, tell us a little bit about how this place got started, because it is booming. I mean, these people are getting in my way. I think it's my restaurant.
Well, you're not alone. At first, thank you so much for inviting me and for supporting us, and yeah, being a regular, in the community and at Urban. So yeah, thank you. The How did I get started? I think that a lot of us feel like at times we're in places that we didn't plan and expect to be, and that's definitely the case here at Urban for me. My plan was to not get married, not have children, and be an architect. That was what my worldly plan was. And now, I'm a mother of two and own this restaurant, and so it's been a cool journey to sometimes wake up and see myself here. But the inspiration really came from when I became a mom. I'm a very curious person, and I like to research and find out more about things, and um, really starting to dive into pregnancy and my body, because then I had more reason to care for it when I was pregnant with my oldest. She's 11 now. And so that just started a journey of really wanting to understand my body as a temple, what I was putting in and on, and then ultimately what my child was receiving. And then, after she was born, the same questions. So I think asking questions a lot of times puts us on a really cool search to find out information that maybe we would have otherwise not been exposed to or sought. And so that was the inspiration. Once I had Ayla and she was about 6 months old, I was still trying to practice architecture, but I had gone from 80 or 90 hours a week, probably on average, to 40 to 50, which felt like part-time. And then also felt like a part-time mom. And then also was really, really passionate about the food that I was feeding myself, and ultimately feeding my daughter. So I felt myself really pulled. And my priority at that point was not my career, but it was being a mom and caring for this new human. And so I think I probably still had some post-pregnancy hormones kicking in, but I was frustrated with the amount of time I had to spend to research good products, that when I was paying $1 for them, that I was actually getting quality with that dollar, and not spending another 40 hours a week that I didn't have researching and then driving to the farms or driving to the farmers markets to access that food. And so the question was, gosh, why don't we just start an organic market to make it convenient for other moms and dads or people seeking a convenient way to be healthy?
Well, that's very amazing because, first of all, just for such a time as this, the awareness of our food and our sick care,
Mm-hmm.
not health
Yeah.
care. I mean, I just went through a long ordeal with my dad, and he was not getting better. He was suffering. I mean, we all
Mm-hmm.
die eventually, but the suffering can be optional. I heard somebody the other day say we were born looking like our father, but we die looking like our choices. Well, some of the choices we give to other people aren't the best choices, and there's not a drug for everything.
Mm-hmm.
God created
Mm-hmm.
food as our medicine, and my first choice is Him today. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm not alive because I'm wise. I'm alive because of the mercy of God, and He taught me better ways.
Mm-hmm.
The pills never worked.
Yeah. Well, and it's truly walking into whatever decision a person makes about their health or a parent makes about their children's health. And I think all of us can agree we do it from a place of love, and a place of trying to make the best decision with the information we know. So I think, it is feeling like we're walking with other people who have offered information that we may not have ever heard before, because we all tend to be in our tribe. And if I'm raised in a certain area of the country with a certain family, I may not be exposed to other ideas or facts. And the creator has made a lot of beautiful creation and given a lot of talents and skills for people to be able to come up with stuff. I think our medical industry in America is broken. I believe that it has been consumed with greed. I think there's also been some really amazing things that they have done or attempted to do. Our trauma care is incredible. If
Number one
you
in the world. Yeah,
number, it's amazing. And
yeah,
so,
it is.
and I would fight tooth and nail not to take an antibiotic, but I just had a conversation with a friend yesterday, and I said, sometimes there's a place for it, and then you
Right,
just rebuild from it, and God equips us with knowledge. He's the ultimate healer, but he does give us tools and food that can feed us and nourish us. And he tells us about it biblically. He
yes,
tells us,
it's in the
you
book.
know, he's the bread and he's the salt, and so those are
Yeah.
good things, and they're good to celebrate. But I think our healthcare and our food system in America has been corrupted and is poisoning us for the sake of money. And a lot of us don't even know to question that.
No, and I think that's where I started with this is my dad's journey is we've been blindly, so I will speak for myself. I blindly followed doctors for years instead of
Mm,
following God,
mm,
and I
yeah.
put them above, they were my first decision, and I was on a trip with a friend of mine who's a doctor in Norway, and she goes, "You people in America idolize doctors. You
Hmm.
know, she's a doctor, and she just realized she's part of a bigger picture, and she's not
Mm,
the big picture. So, and I've had to learn to do research and make decisions on my own. I never did look at side effects of any of the
mm,
drugs that I took for 18 years, and some of them are deadly. And I'm not
mm.
anti-drug, I'm anti-chemical dependence.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yeah, well, and you may have made a different choice using that if someone would have given you other options to consider. And that's what I think is true and truthful and fair. And then people could still choose a drug, but to
right,
have full information of what it's doing. And I do think that when we do become dependent on anything, that it's very unhealthy, dependent on something for emotional stability or physical health. Even, I mean, but I don't want to be a hypocrite. I love to have a cup of coffee in the morning. It helps me kind of, get a little boost to get moving. But if you apply that to every aspect of your life, you need something to sleep, you need something to wake up, you need
right,
something to have energy through the day. You know, we're just, we're seeking creation to help us perform maybe God's will for his kingdom for the
right.
creator. And so it's very easy for us to get sidetracked and deceived. Um, And I think when the motive it feels like is money
Right.
and worldly things, it's deceiving majority of people in America because again, they just never even thought to ask the question. Like, you took those drugs, and I mean, I've done the same thing. If a doctor's prescribed something in my past, of course it would be good for me. And there's very
Yeah.
little side effects, if any. And so you just trust almost blindly, which um I just think that it's been a slow transition to where a lot of people now I think are starting to be like, wait a second, I'm going to have to research that because I've lost trust that
Right.
this is the best for me. And I
Right.
liked your quote. That was really cool. I die looking like my choices, because another quote that's resonated with me in my health journey is, it's not the dying that I'm afraid of, it's the not living.
Exactly. You
And
know,
how many people walk through every day just not, they're just surviving. They're not thriving.
right. That's a good word. I like that. Um, yeah, I heard somebody else once say, we have a million things to do until we lose our health. And then we have
Mm-hmm.
one thing to do, you know,
Mm,
just focus on getting better. I mean, the enemy wants us to suffer and
mm-hmm.
and live in torment. And
Mm-hmm.
God wants us to live in health and prosper, be in health and
Mm-hmm.
prosper, even as your soul prospers. So, we're body, soul, and spirit. And I realize this is an
Yeah.
integral part of it. God created food as medicine. And I've got
Mm.
all kinds of testimonies. There's one I'll throw in here. At one time, I was craving carrots. And I that was crazy. Who craves carrots? I'm buying
Mm.
5 pound, 10 pound bags of carrots, organic, and I am chowing on them. And I just, I'm annoying a friend of mine that I was working with. We were flipping a house at the time, and she hated carrots. So, um, what she didn't know and I didn't put together is like 20 years ago, I ended up in the hospital with an abscess on my lung, on the lining of my lung. And I'd been a smoker of many things, whether it was
Mm.
always something outside of me to fix my heart. And so I developed this abscess. They were talking about doing a lung transplant. I mean, I was on the verge of dying. Well, fast forward, probably this was 10 years ago. 10 years, I'm craving carrots like crazy. I ordered a book. Oh, I think it's called The Food Pharmacy.
Yeah.
And the day I get it, I open it up to a random page and it was carrots. Has a type of beta carotene in it that can stop cancer, especially the cancer on the lining of a
Wow.
lung cancer from smoking usually develops.
Oh
And I'm like,
my gosh.
it was kind of a word of knowledge, God speaking to my heart in the
Yeah.
form of a craving. And I went through a season of binging on carrots. I mean, if you're going to binge on something,
That's an
that
okay
would be
one.
it.
Yeah. You got
And
some
now
benefit.
I eat carrots, I grow carrots, but I don't, annoy people by carrying them around with me.
Yeah, yeah. It
Mm.
is interesting when you cut out a lot of the stuff that just keeps us hooked, the MSGs and the sugar and the carbs in excessive amounts. I mean, all of, the sugar and the salt, there's a place for that and the carbs, but when it becomes excessive, it's interesting the people who have learned to listen to their body, and then like you're craving for carrots, listening to what your body is craving. Even if my daughter is like really just craving, carbs and sugar, let's say, it's like, okay, you're needing some energy and you're wanting it quickly, so then we talk about the protein and the fat with a little bit of the, honey drizzled on top of something, and then what her body is signaling to her. And there's, I think, a lot of people not only not questioning the what we're consuming physically, mentally, and spiritually, but also what your body is, what your body might
Right,
be needing and why.
right, right. I heard somebody once say, pain in any area of our life is an invitation to learn more truth and more skills. And the truth is, if I'm depleted in sleep, my body is inviting. I'm being invited to learn something. I was talking to you about sleep the other
Mm.
day, and I learned something from you. Do you want to share that? About
Yeah,
sleep
you were
and
talking about struggling with insomnia at times in your life. And I'm all into researching about parasites right now. And I had just learned that there was a doctor saying that parasites can deplete your melatonin. So people who are suffering from insomnia, it could be that and they probably have nutritional deficiencies too because of the parasites. And so, a lot of these things are like, oh my goodness, like you've got these parasites that are, you're acting as a host to. Well, you're sometimes just feeding them, and they're taking nutrients out and or damaging your body to where it's not absorbing the nutrients. And so it can just get your whole body out of whack. So again, like listening to like, okay, I'm having trouble with clarity of thought, or I'm having trouble with sleep, to really start to investigate why. Not just making yourself go to sleep or satisfying that craving necessarily, or giving yourself a quick fix, but like why, the root reason of why do I feel this way? Why am I having this issue? Why am I having this craving?
not treating the symptom with the sleeping pill.
Yes, which
Find the root.
again to the medical system is, you go in with headaches and they give you pain medicine to get rid of the headaches.
Right. What
And
caused the headache? You know,
what caused it? Yeah.
yeah, a friend of mine had a brain tumor, and a painkiller's not going to do it. It will
Mhm.
mask the symptom and shut up
Yeah.
the voice
Which
of
is
the invitation.
dangerous.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I'm going to butcher this, but he said when you go into the doctor, they put you on this medication which sucks the CoQ10 out of your body, which is what carries oxygen to your brain. And so your blood pressure goes up because your body's responding. You go back to the doctor. He goes, "Oh, you have high blood pressure. Here's blood pressure
Mhm.
medication, which takes the magnesium out of your body." And then
Mhm.
you have other symptoms of not sleeping. But anyway, it's just a downhill toxic
Mhm.
load and depleting us. And
It's such a balance
it is.
and
It
all
is.
connected. Yeah. And I don't think there's a person walking this earth that has perfect health and the perfect level of every mineral and nutrient. But I think we're always changing. When people tell me, "Oh, I've got blood work and this is what it shows me." I'm like, "For that day."
Right.
But we're always changing. And so I think when we become in tune with our creator and then ourselves, um, we can start to self-diagnose and walk along other people. Like just you and I having a conversation about parasites and melatonin, to get to have a question posed and then to seek out, possible solutions to maybe a deeper rooted issue than just that you need to take melatonin to sleep or you take something to go to sleep.
Right. Right. If you could snap your fingers and change one thing about the food industry, what would that be?
Um, wow. Ooh, that is a good question. Um, the land.
Okay.
I,
Yep. Do you
I would
want to
change the land.
for people who maybe never heard about the land, and I'm assuming you're talking about the microbiome, the living organisms that we spray chemicals on and
Yeah.
kill.
Um, I think there's a lot of things that are making us really, really sick. A lot of things in our environment, but our land is not at rest. Our land is
Right.
in turmoil in the sense of how it's depleted and how it's contaminated. So depleted of any nutrients anymore. It's barely a living soil the way that it was, a couple hundred years ago.
Right.
That soil had minerals and enzymes and bacteria in it that was life-giving. It was living. Our soil, a lot of times, is a living organism almost. And with the mono agriculture, again, in the pursuit of, they say feeding the world, but it's money, it's monetizing agriculture,
Right.
which is not to discredit farmers that do that. But when you step back and you can see it from more of like 30,000 feet in the air for the whole system, our soil is sick. Well,
Right.
if your soil is sick, the animals grazing the soil are sick because of the grass and the seeds they're eating, the produce and the vegetables, the fruits, that is sick. It's depleted of nutritional value and or diseased. And so I just, man, if I could snap my fingers and we could have rich, fertile soil and land, I think that it would be such a jump start to improving all of our health.
Right. Right. I agree. For people who may want to learn more about that, there's a documentary on YouTube called Back to Eden. And
Mm.
do you know his name, Paul? I can't think of it right now. But
Mm-mm.
anyway,
I don't think I've watched that one.
oh, it's about regenerative farming. You know, we don't
Mm,
need fertilizers if we put um, a plant like a blueberry plant full of nitrogen next to an apple tree. They feed
mm,
each other.
mhm, mhm.
Companion planting, one, they feed each other.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's another podcast. But anyway, it's really
Mm,
good. It is on YouTube, and I started learning about that. How it heals our land and monocropping, just all corn, all soybean.
mm,
I'm from
mhm,
Illinois, and they're
mhm,
my family farmers. That's the way we were taught.
mhm.
That's the way we did it. Well,
Yeah,
that's
and
not
I
the way
grew
they did
up.
it. Oh yeah,
Yeah, and that's everywhere. Anywhere now that has good land, that it's flat enough. I grew up in the western part of Kentucky, and the main industry is farming. And now you've got a lot of farmers who have tens of thousands of acres. So you have them, down to probably 10 families that are running most of the land in western Kentucky and farming it. But yeah, it's the same thing. And they're clearing trees, which has climate environmental issues, for protection from wind. It increases
yep,
tornadoes and other destructive things, but also water runoff, shade, not overheating, and then just the amount of land now that's cleared, that they're just spraying poisons on. And it's, my kids, that's all they've known is organic and clean. And so it has been cool because they're like, what is Goganic is what they called it.
go
What
getting.
is Goganic?
I like it.
And I got to point to a field that I feel like a lot of adults may not have even noticed, but it was this beautiful field of corn. Beautiful. And it all looked the same. And the corn was green and vibrant. And then all below it and around it was just brown and dead. And was like, do you see that corn? They've genetically modified it, and they've loaded it with exactly the formulation of chemicals and fertilizers that it needs. So, for a farmer's perspective, that looks great, great yield, great crop. But then you see all of this dead organic growth that has been poisoned. And the corn
Right,
is standing upright and beautiful and doesn't die. Well, why? And so to be able to show them glyphosate and Roundup that's being sprayed on our food, and then saying, and that corn now has that residue and those
right,
poisons on it. And what it does to all of the brown weeds now that were green and thriving, it does inside of our bodies. It goes back to the microbiome, right? We're
right,
killing all of the weeds to have this yield, and then we're killing the soil that has any, bacteria, and then we're consuming that. Well, we are a huge percentage bacteria in our gut. Well,
right,
while it may not affect the tissues and cells of our body, glyphosate, it is affecting and destroying our flora, our gut flora. And
right.
people just, they've never even been exposed sometimes to that idea.
Yeah, they don't know what microbiomes or gut flora is. I didn't until I learned, right? I
Mm-hmm.
just thought you are what you eat when actually you are what you absorb. And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have the gut health, then you've got nutritional deficiencies. For me, mental health is a passion of mine because
Mm-hmm.
I learned that during the Great Depression when there was a shortage of food, that people, especially in the South, were there was an epidemic of schizophrenia, and they were throwing people in insane
Huh.
asylums. My great grandfather was thrown in an insane asylum, and what I've learned is that 83% of schizophrenia is a vitamin B3 deficiency, niacin. 83% of that. So we're body,
Wow.
soul, and spirit. Bitterness, you can eat as healthy as you want and die of bitterness,
Mm-hmm.
because it's toxic. Our our food has become toxic. Our emotions in America are toxic. The people, relationships, and we have to guard our heart and guard our bodies and the gates, whether it be eye gates, ear gates, mouth. You are what you feed. And we've fed a fast food generation, and now they think that's normal food
Yeah.
when it's
Well, and
actually
why would they
not
sell
food.
it if it's poison?
Yeah, it's cheap,
You know?
big
So
money.
the government organizations that I think started originally with the goal to protect, to, be experts and to review data and science as it was available and to make the best decisions to protect people has been corrupted again by money.
Right,
You've when I was pregnant with Ayla, I started reaching out to pediatricians because I wanted to learn more about what was recommended for children, whether it's vaccines or, um, you know, the foods they eat or breastfeeding or, I just had questions. And I had reason to start questioning it. And I reached out to pediatricians and they wouldn't even see me because I had questions. I think just questioning things, um, can become dangerous because normally when you question it, you seek to have more clarity. And I don't think a lot of these organizations want clarity. They don't
really,
actually want you to know
right,
that.
right,
And so I did not have I wanted the people who chose to eat organic and the people who farmed, genetically. Well, why are you GMO food? Well, why are you doing this? I wanted information from both sides. I wanted to go to like a traditional pediatrician. Well, why would you recommend this versus someone who, used homeopathy? Okay, why? And I think that those questions it's such a good thing to do for anything because then it defends what decision you make.
right,
Um and I think that I think that the government organizations, the EPA, the HHS, the CDC, they what started hopefully is good. I didn't know the people who started it, so I can't speak to their intentions, but I want to
mhm,
believe that they started with good intentions, but again has been corrupted. And they're not giving us all of the information anymore.
right,
They're not telling us that we should be questioning what's in our water, that we should be questioning and actually the opposite, right? They're saying don't question it, trust us.
right. You mean the 3,000 chemicals that are in our water? Is that,
And
yeah,
it's crazy. The stuff just came out about Tylenol. And I've been telling my family for years, should be illegal now, in my opinion, from the science I've read, and probably will be in the next few years. But I don't think that that's the whole. There's
right.
never going to be like, this is it. We figured it
It's
out,
not
right?
just the one food coloring or the food dye. Not one.
Mhm.
It might
But
be
if
all
you
of them.
think of it, yeah, you think of a mom who was raised and that's how she always ate. And now she feeds her
Right.
children hamburger helper, but hamburger helper probably has changed in the last 25 years.
Right.
Um, and then, they're going through fast food and, oh, it's fine. It wouldn't be sold if it was unhealthy. Oh, and then they're, grabbing this bag of chips and then they're eating this over at school. And then there's these blue dyes and then their water's got chemicals in it. And, you start adding up all of that. Yeah. Talk about not absorbing,
Right.
nutrients. You are sick.
Right.
And, I don't, I don't know that current traditional Western medicine doctors, I don't think they're trying to do harm towards people. I just think they don't know.
Right. Well,
And
they're not trained in it, not nutrition.
what is it, like 3 hours in medical school for nutrition?
Yeah, I think two, three, four, maybe, you
Yeah.
know,
And then
it's
I
just
think about the
not
same for vaccines.
right,
Yeah.
right. So, um, yeah, I just didn't know what I didn't know. I wish I knew then what I know now, and
Well,
and the story for my life is mental illness and mental torment, and my family has suffered. Like I said, my great grandfather. It's just come on down the family line. But I learned you get your gut health from your mama. And if your mama
mhm,
doesn't have gut health, then you won't have gut health. And you
mhm,
get your immunity and stuff from the breast milk. Well, you know,
mhm,
I've heard there's a big link between formula and autism as well.
mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
just we kill off our gut, um, where our microbiome and flora with the toxins that are in our shampoos and laundry detergent, water, etc.
Mhm, mhm.
And
And I have
we
no clue. People have
none.
no clue.
I
Yeah, I mean,
know.
you think a baby comes out and mom didn't even she's working and she didn't even know she should breastfeed. So if you have a child born, given medicine, vaccines as soon as they're born, dipped in, chlorinated water, which is just absorbing, given formula and not, I mean, it's like we are just, it's everything combined. And then goodness gracious, the baby gets sick because it
Right.
has no gut flora and no immune system of its own. Mom's not breastfeeding it. We're giving it sugar for milk. And then, and then zapping it with Tylenol. I mean, it's actually impressive that the human body has been able to survive as long as it has.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I don't think any mother knows that sugar is, well, I shouldn't say any, but most mothers don't know sugar's 8 times more addictive than cocaine and does
Mm-hmm,
more brain damage and then leads them to drug seeking, alcohol seeking behavior later
mm-hmm,
on in life. 40 to
mm-hmm.
60% of those people, that
And
get
that
addicted
affects
to
your
sugar.
mind.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Like
Always craving.
people that are maybe genetically, they say, genetics loads the gun and the environment pulls the trigger. So you have this genetic coding that you do inherit from, your parents and grandparents and beyond. But then, if you're just living in this toxic world, our social media is toxic.
Oh my goodness,
It,
yeah.
it's, I actually think I did a pretty good job purging a lot of people in 2020. So
Yeah, I
I
bet.
just, I see a lot of encouragement and really sweet pictures of people and so social media I feel like can be a really good blessing for me, but I think for most people they get consumed, it raises their cortisol, they're in an online fight for justice and
Yeah,
truth seeking and expressing their opinions, and then you're not sleeping, you're on screens, you're drinking horrible water, you're bathing in horrible water, and you're eating things that are causing inflammation, and we're just walking around just inflamed in so many ways and deficient
right?
in so many ways. Lynn, I had someone a few years ago, and I think we even have a review online somewhere that says, oh, this place is just trying to be cool and they're hipsters. I'm like, I
Right.
actually think I'm the opposite of that. I want to kick my shoes off and go walk in an organic field of grass that doesn't have chemicals on it
Right.
in the sunshine and drink water and dig in the dirt and be with the people that are important to me and have relationships. I think we got to get all the way back to basics. Go under 200 years ago to the soil and
Right.
read books and take naps and laugh with people and play games and grow your food and learn new skills. And
Right.
yeah, I think just clear out all this noise and all these toxins.
Yes, yes. Um, Proverb says get knowledge, get understanding, get godly
Yeah.
skills, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I had none. I didn't have any relationship skills. My relationship with food, my own body, you know, nutrition, physical, emotional, relational, nothing. But
Mm,
I'm grateful, you know, when you seek, you will find. And
yes.
so what are some of the wildest stories you've heard from customers about being all organic or crunchy is what I enjoy calling.
Um, it is across the board, from people who have gotten a hold of their cancer,
Right.
that we're told this is your only option. You've got to, do the traditional route of chemo and some of them have lost their battle in cancer. So going clean and organic is not a 100% way, but it's a I think a much better fighting chance of truly getting to the root issue. Because stress can cause cancer. So
Right.
it's not just the food, it's everything you're receiving and absorbing. Um,
Right.
and is all the way to probably the most common is moms with their children. Um, in the first couple years we had, so that was 2015 through 2017. We had a lot of moms that had just realized that their kids were sick and
Mhm.
they did not have anybody who was willing or capable of helping them figure out ideas to help their kids. And even a lot of them were like, I believe it's this cause, or I believe it was after these shots, or I believe it's this food. But their traditional route, the pediatricians were either kicking them out of their practice or just kind of saying, I don't know, or take this medicine. And the
Right.
moms coming in and like just wanting ideas and sharing with them ideas. Now, I'm just a mom. I've not studied anything in any formal certification or degree. So, full disclosure, this is just a mom, a person
Right.
who is curious and studied. But sharing my research and stories I had heard and ideas from what I had read and studied with other moms, and moms coming back to us or emailing us or calling the store in tears. I got my baby back. Their eczema cleared up. The
Right.
autistic, behavior has settled. And a lot of these things were with enzymes, minerals, focusing on their nutrient, leaky gut and
Right.
and what they were or were not eating.
Right.
Um, and that is like, as a mom, to have another mom call you and thank you for just sharing ideas was probably some of the, like, it gives me chills now just thinking back to how many there've been. Um, I would say that was probably, as a mom, the most impactful. But I've heard so many stories of people that, if nothing else, um, gaining a sense of confidence in themselves and their intuitions of something's wrong and this I don't feel like is working, and finding community to to have questions and to seek answers and to try things and start to listen to their own body. It's a really powerful thing to see someone gain that confidence and to start to see benefit from it.
Right. Right. Yeah. I've heard testimonies doctors gave a friend of mine's mother 3 months to live.
Mm,
That was 3 years ago.
hmm.
She's very religious about what she eats now, right? She's very
Yeah.
careful. Um,
Yeah.
and that's for good reason. She
Hmm.
feels great, she looks great, her life is great, and she almost lost it. So there's a better
Mm,
way. There's a more excellent way. Dr. Henry Wright's book. So,
hmm.
well, Ashley, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Did you have something you were wanting to say? Sorry.
No, I'm just grateful to be asked to talk with you and share just a little snippet of what our little world is here at Urban.
Yes, and so that's Urban Market with an Herban Market in Franklin, Tennessee. You can go online and check out their menu and go to their website, and a lot of happy people in there. And I heard somebody say we can't afford to eat organic, and a friend of mine said to them, "You can afford seeds. You can afford seeds." And I had a townhouse at one time, and I had a little window box, and I had a
Yeah.
grow light, and I was growing lettuce and some other sprouts and stuff like that in front of my one little window with my grow light. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
we can
And
do it. Seeds are,
making your own sauerkraut, making your own when you can,
yeah,
because
yeah,
it can get really expensive. But
yeah,
in the Great Depression, I think they spent 30% of their income on food. And so now we spend that on entertainment,
right,
and shoes and clothes. So we've got to prioritize food and health. And yeah, you can do that in a variety of ways. There's no perfect way to do it. Just start. It's baby
right,
steps,
right.
and start with the tomato plant with the grow light, or start with the clean water, and you can get a couple $100. You can get a gravity
Filter,
tank. And yeah, and just beginning to start and ask the questions, and then do what you can and give yourself grace and be gentle with yourself, and pray about what you should do that day or that week or that year. And like you said, seek for wisdom, understanding, and knowledge from the Creator to use the creation as He intended for you. You're unique.
right,
There's no one else that's going to have the same journey as you. There's no one else with the same testimony and purpose and health route. And so, it's kind of fun to talk to people, to get ideas and inspiration and encouragement, and you can do it.
right, right. It's a great way to go. I tell you what, I started with the window box, and now I've got a little garden outside, and it's a skill. It's a
Mm.
skill, and my peppers look like they came out of a magazine this year. And I'm just like,
Uh,
wow, I am so impressed with what I've learned that doesn't require chemicals. You
mm,
know, yeah,
yeah.
I planted mustard as like a cover crop, just long enough for it to grow in the fall, and then the frost killed it, and I plowed it under. Well, the bugs don't like the mustard in the ground.
Mhm.
So I've had very few pests this year. It's been like amazing. But
That's awesome.
it was full of nutrients. It wasn't the only thing I planted, but I've just learned, and it I don't know. I enjoy it. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
life
And
giving.
learning something new.
Right. I get to play
Yeah.
in the dirt. My chickens surround me, and I feed them
Mhm.
the tomatoes that don't look that great, and it's
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
it's fun. But anyway,
Mm,
thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. And for anybody that's interested in learning more, there will be resources connected to the links in the story. So bless you, Ashley. Thank you for coming on,
yeah.
and bless everybody that watched. Have a great day.
Oh,
Thank you.
you too. Thanks, Lynn.
That's a wrap for today on Damage to Dangerous. If this shook something loose, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, rate it, review it. That's how we crack the system and spread real healing. Want to stay in the fight? Follow me on social media at Lynn Eldridge Official. And if you believe in what we're doing and want to support us, just grab the link below or send this episode to someone who needs the truth. Remember, don't just heal, heal loudly. heal boldly, be dangerous.